Because there's a lot of noise in the space, there's a lot of gurus online, and it can be hard to differentiate between what's real and what's not. They know that LLMs can help them and can grant efficiencies to their company, but they're just not quite sure exactly how they can leverage AI. There's pressures from clients and there's a fear of being left behind if they don't act soon. How can we help you deliver better quality and more deliverables to your clients without having to hire more staff? It's often the case that AI and these AI strategy reviews are the catalyst for us mapping out these processes, these workflows, these operations, and finding out that actually you're re-entering between Excel, your project management system, your CRM, your invoicing system, which is killing hours each week. And it's not solely focused on AI, but looking across the board as to where AI and automation as a whole can increase your operational efficiency and save the company time. So who are we? I've known Hugh for way too long. I think we first met when we were 12 years old, sat at the back of a maths classroom at the Cotswold School. Back then, we were bonding over video games, Modern Warfare 2, for any of you video game enthusiasts out there. Fast forward to the end of our school careers, and we both went and took very different routes. Hugh went and got his undergraduate at the University of Leeds studying physics before completing his master's in software engineering, whilst I went and got my undergraduate at the University of Exeter reading law. Now, I then went into the corporate world of work for a couple of years, and in December 2024, handed in my notice. In February 2025, we came together to start helping companies implement the efficiencies offered by AI. And fast forward to where we are today, we work with specialist and boutique consulting firms between 20 and 200 employees to help them differentiate their offering and increase delivery capacity without increasing headcount through AI and smart automation. So our core mission and value proposition, what is it that we actually do? We are on a mission to help consultancy teams work smarter, scale faster, and deliver greater value through the practical application of safe and secure AI and automation. We work alongside specialist consulting firms mainly in two manners. Firstly, to help them increase delivery capacity without having to hire additional staff. And secondly, to help them differentiate their offering in crowded marketplaces. And we'll dive into this a little bit more later, but this is really pivoting on the software development side of things and how you can use these tools like Claude Code and Cursor to develop software in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost as you could historically. Now, with implementation, of course, governance and control is a big focus for these companies with the risks associated with implementation.
So these are some of the clients that we've been working with over the past year. And I want to point your attention to the top left, which is the Consultancy Growth Network. This is a really special client for me and Rupert because this was our first ever client. And back then, Rupert was on the dialer, on doing cold calls, trying to sell our AI proposal generators and our AI WhatsApp agents. And he came to me saying, Hugh, I finally got you a good project. I was like, great. He said, problem is, deadline's in 2 weeks. So I was actually doing my master's at the time. I was in my dissertation. So I quickly ran to the shop, bought some Red Bull, and prepared myself for a lot of long nights in the coming weeks. However, we got there in the end, and it led to us growing to where we are today.
And on screen, you can see a number of the bigger companies that we're continuing to work with today. Namely, you've got Sladen Consulting at the top there, strategy and management consulting firm. You've got Hillbreak Consulting at the top right here, an ESG strategy consulting firm who work with the biggest asset managers in the UK, namely CBRE, Royal Holloway. And then you've got the Litmus Partnership, procurement partners, just to name a few of the clients that we're working with currently.
So what do our clients say about us? Well, in the middle here, we have Candace Finn, who's the managing director of Litmus Partnership. And at the bottom, we have John Lovell, who is the founder of Hillbreak Consultancy. So as you can imagine, the reviews are absolutely terrible. No, obviously not. They're very glowing, and it's testament to the work that we put in every day.
Now, our core framework, once we've got an interested company, how do we help and what do we do? So companies will approach us in one of two positions, namely the first one being they've got a specific project in mind that they want built, in which case, great, we can scope it out, we can tell you how long that will take, what that will look like in development timelines, and then give you a costing. Now, the other position which most companies engage with us from is that they want advice on how they can leverage these efficiencies and where AI can practically help them within their company. Now, even if you come to us with a specific project in mind that you'd like to start with, we'll almost always recommend to start with an AI strategy review, which, to your point, is very similar to going in, understanding the processes, mapping it out, and then prioritizing based on what we find. So what really is the purpose of an AI strategy review? It's an opportunity to get under the bonnet of the company, to speak with a number of stakeholders, map out the processes and identify those which are low risk and high ROI. And then from that, the decision making can be intentional and prioritized based on those initiatives which provide the clearest and safest ROI. So instead of just chasing after the next shiny object, and we have a lot of people coming into us saying, I want this RAG agent built, I want this proposal generator, I want this contract analysis tool, and we go, great, okay, cool, but why? What's the reasoning behind that? And a lot of the time, it's companies with that fear of being left behind and wanting to chase after the next shiny object, which is why, in our professional opinion, we'll always recommend to start with the AI strategy review first. The reason being, we can get under the bonnet, we can map out all of the potential opportunities, and then we can prioritize based on those which provide the clearest and safest ROI, instead of just chasing that next shiny object. So practically, what does this look like? It's a 3-step process which takes over 4 to 6 weeks, where we start with organizational surveys. So this is typically segmented by department. When working with consultancies, we'll split it up by the senior leadership team, which is more focused on the strategic direction and where revenue growth is going to come from in the next 3 to 5 years. We'll segment it by internal consultants, external consultants, and then a technical team if they have one in-house. Now, there's a couple of reasons for the surveys. With SLT, we're really trying to find out the general strategic direction of the company. When speaking with the members of that company, the employees as such, we're looking at 2 factors. Number 1, where are the opportunities? Where does your time go? What platforms are you sat in all day? What operational friction or efficiency exists? In the same vein, we're also looking culturally, is everybody in the firm on the same page? Do they have the same views on AI? What do they know is possible? How are they using it currently? Because you need to ensure that culturally the team is ready, as well as chasing after those solutions. Otherwise, when you develop these solutions, it's useless if the staff aren't using them. Following from that, we then dive into stakeholder interviews, which is where we have up to 20 stakeholder interviews within the organization, from everyone from senior leadership and heads of department through to the consultants and business support staff helping to implement these solutions on the ground. And this is really the next layer where we have the opportunity to peel back the onion and really dig deeper into those initial opportunities that we've outlined within the surveys. Finally, we conclude our AI strategy reviews with a tech stack review. Now, this is where we get admin access to the entire tech stack of a company, so that from the opportunities that we've identified, we can then go and conduct a feasibility analysis. Are there any legacy systems or processes which don't have APIs yet, which are potentially holding you back from capitalizing on these opportunities that we've identified? And then finally, we consolidate all of this into the 5 deliverables on screen. We start by consolidating into one big implementation roadmap. It's typically over 12 to 36 months, which outlines all of the current processes that we've identified, all of the current opportunities we've identified, gives estimated timelines for development, and then shows the predicted ROI from following these initiatives. Alongside this, we provide an AI readiness assessment, which is looking both culturally and systems-wise, where are you as a firm? Culturally, is everybody on the same page? Do they understand what's possible? Do you need team training? Do they understand prompt engineering? And from a systems perspective, are there any legacy systems without APIs which are potentially holding you back from following these initiatives? Alongside this, we provide an AI risk assessment, which is a big focus for us because ensuring compliance with the governance is of the utmost importance to these companies. We're looking at the ISO accreditations, Cyber Essentials, ISO 27001, 42001, the EU AI Act, just to name a few. And even if you don't have these accreditations already, we want to make sure that you've got the right governance trail so that if you want to go and get these accreditations in future, you're ready and you don't have to backdate that audit trail. Alongside this, we provide an AI strategy review audit report, which explains our approach and how we came to our conclusions. And finally, we provide an executive presentation, which is a distilled version of that first implementation roadmap, but instead of 60 to 70 slides, it's broken down into a much more digestible 10 to 15 slide presentation, which is ready to show to the board and senior leadership team. Now, this is a question that I get quite a lot. How is AI actually practically supporting firms at the moment? Because there's a lot of noise in the space, there's a lot of gurus online, and it can be hard to differentiate between what's real and what's not. Now, in our experience today, there's two core areas in which AI is supporting these firms. Number one is not the most obvious. Number two, people expect. Number one, differentiation. Now, this is focused on the software development piece. If you go back 5 years, you go back 10 years from today, if you wanted to develop a SaaS solution to sell to your customers, you'd get hit with a 6 to 7 figure budget, you'd get hit with a 20-man development team with an agile sprint methodology and a timeline that would probably make the best of us cry. Now, today, with the release of these new tools, Claude Code, Cursor, just to name a few, this is completely different. And it allows firms and these consultancies to develop proprietary software in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost, allowing them to create software which helps position themselves better within the market and differentiate themselves from their competitors. Now, the second way is what most people expect, and this is focused on capacity. How can we help you deliver better quality and more deliverables to your clients without having to hire more staff? Now, AI plays a big part in this, but rudimentary automation does as well. And this isn't something that people typically expect. But it's often the case that AI and these AI strategy reviews are the catalyst for us mapping out these processes, these workflows, these operations, and finding out that actually you're re-entering between Excel, your project management system, your CRM, your invoicing system, which is killing hours each week. And it's not solely focused on AI, but looking across the board as to where AI and automation as a whole can increase your operational efficiency and save the company time, which effectively translates into money saved.
So, software on demand. OpenAI and Sam Altman back in last June said that with the release of ChatGPT 5, that we now have software on demand. Now, I don't quite believe this. We can't click a button and get a brand new platform built for us, but we are certainly getting a lot closer. And what we see with a lot of businesses that we deal with day to day is that currently they're using software that fits what they do 70 to 80%. They're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And a little while back, one of our mentor figures said to us, before we start hiring, we need to start tracking utilization. And we had a look around on the market to see what kind of tools could do this for us. We had a look at Teamwork, which in our opinion charged way too much money, and the platform skills that they provided just weren't quite what we wanted. We liked these project management tools like Asana and Notion and how they structured it. So we thought, instead of trying to fit into a solution that fits 80%, let's build our own. So over the span of 2-3 weeks and a lot of Claude Code credits, we managed to put together our own project management software to our 80% completion with very, very minimal effort.
And it's custom built, fit for purpose. You don't have to deal with a solution which no longer does exactly what you need, but you can build it for the purpose that it's meant to do. And we don't have to wait 3 years or 5 years to get this built, but you can turn it around in a matter of months. Now, I'm not sure if you saw, but Anthropic recently, they're doing 90% of the development of their new models with their models currently internally. And I think that just shows how much we are trending towards this software on demand, where you're no longer having to trade man hours for software output, but all of a sudden you can have these AI models supporting the development of these solutions.
Cool. So this is the implementation stack that I use pretty much every day in order to deliver on client projects. I'm sure some of these look very, very familiar to you guys. Lovable has grown massively over the last few years. We use it primarily as a prototyping tool. Often clients want to kind of have something that they can play around with and have a look at. So we'll make use of Lovable to do rapid development or to give that initial push off the line of projects. In the bottom right over there, the cell is one of my absolute favorites. If any of you have ever built DevOps pipelines before, I'm sure you understand how much of an absolute pain in the butt that they are to build. With this, I literally just connect my GitHub straight to it, and anytime I push to it, it automatically deploys on a custom domain. You can also put your own domains into there if you'd like. Makes it so much easier and so much smoother. In the top middle, this is a fairly new resource that's just come out called Variant. Taken last month, and instead of using Figma to build your designs and build these wireframes out that, to be honest, are an absolute nightmare, instead you can prompt it, give it images, give it reference images, and it makes these beautiful front-end designs for you with just a prompt. And one of the great things about this is that you can then take those designs, copy the HTML that it gives you, and put it straight into your applications with no effort. In the top right, we have OpenClaw. OpenClaw is the bleeding edge of AI technology at the moment. You can give it root access to your computer system, and with that root access, it can complete a myriad of tasks that were before completely impossible for AI to do. This does come with risks. There is huge security concerns about OpenClaw at the moment, but with great governance, this is going to be one of the most important tools coming up in the next year. I've saved my favorite two for last. Cursor is a built-in AI inside of an IDE. It has all the context of your entire project scope, so being able to code inside of that environment makes life so much easier. And Claude Code. Claude Code is so important to what we do that we actually have a little inside joke, ACC and BCC, before Claude Code and after Claude Code, because of how revolutionary this tool really is. Some of my personal favorite repos to use inside of this, GSD, Ralph Loops, both of these are really, really powerful tools for creating software. In fact, the PMS system that we built was built pretty much entirely off Claude Code.
Awesome. So as I touched on briefly earlier today, we engage in a lot of these AI strategy reviews on the premise of AI efficiency, of course. But a lot of the opportunities that we're finding that we're uncovering within these firms aren't solely centered around AI, but instead AI has been the catalyst for us to look into these processes, look into these operations, and a lot of these opportunities are rudimentary automation opportunities which would have existed 15 years ago, 10 years ago, or 5 years ago. But all of a sudden, AI has been the catalyst for us to find these opportunities and begin to automate these processes. Now, on the screen on the left here, you can see forward deployed engineer. As I'm sure a lot of you know, the state of the software development job market is pretty dire at the moment. In the same breath, there have never been more job postings for forward deployed engineers ever than there has been in the last 12 months. So what is a forward deployed engineer? A forward deployed engineer is effectively what we're doing with our strategy reviews. It's a software developer who goes into these firms to understand legacy processes, legacy systems, communicate with clients, and then act as the bridge between where they are now with these old systems to the new technologies and the efficiencies that can be brought with them. Now, on screen, you can see our 4 core differentiators. One of them we've already touched on briefly, being our foundations first philosophy. If you're a company and you come to engage with us, we'll almost always recommend that we start with a strategy review first. It allows us to speak with a number of stakeholders within the organizations, understand your processes in detail, and then posit solutions in a prioritized roadmap based on intentional decision making instead of just chasing the next shiny object. Now, below that, you can see founder-led and senior delivery throughout. Hugh and I are personally delivering on each of our client projects. And with that, if you're a client, you'll know if you send an email at 9:15, you'll have a response before 9:25 at any time of the day. Now, below that, you can see our experience with complex operational workflows. We've had to dive knee-deep into a number of operational workflows, namely looking at the litmus process, looking at the procurement partners process, and Hillbreak, just to name a few, where their processes are very unique to the company, and we've had to really throw ourselves in there, understand these processes, and then posit solutions based on what we find. And we've saved governance till last as a bit of a segue onto the next part of the session today, where strong governance and risk awareness from day one is something we place a big focus on. My legal background helps us here, and it's something which companies care about a lot because you cannot be too diligent with your governance when it comes to AI, and especially with the lack of regulation around the area currently.